Pa ba kayo? Nako po, nakatulog tayo ng konti. Iba kasing mga time zones natin ngayon. Nakikita niyo naman doon sa ano natin, sa feeds natin. Update tayo ng update doon sa sitwasyon ngayon sa Ukraine. Mukhang talagang escalation ng pinili ng Russia po. So, over the past few days, pinag-usapan po natin yung ginagawa ng mga iba't ibang Western powers, yung Chancellor dito, Kansela Olaf Scholz. Nakita natin na Vice President Kamala Harris ng US nandito, si Secretary Blinken nandito, Prime Minister Boris Johnson, of course, nagpo-face ng skandalo at home because of yung mga party garden niya. Siya yung mukhang excited at feisty dito para to put a tough front. So nakikita natin yung mga Western leaders talaga po, ay, medyo malamig na. Huwag kayo ma-fool dyan sa sunny-sunny na yan. Malamig talaga dito. Okay, balik na ako kay Baguio Boy. Di ko na nakayanan to. Baka magkasakit tayo. Naku po, medyo grim ang atmospherics dito. At sabi natin, tulog tayo ng konti kahit pa paano. Para magsulat na naman tayo. So, back to, ayan na tayo Naku po, ayan na po tayo Naku po. Ayan, sige, upo muna tayo dito. Ayan, medyo parang bar mode tayo. Ayan. Tsaka water. Woza. Guten Tag dyan. Mga kaibigan natin dyan. Sabi ko nga, talagang may meta life tayo. Hindi ko magagawa ng all the way nun. Kasi nga, siyempre, naglalakad tayo. Lamig. Naglalakad tayo. Tapos, daming security. Grabe, lalo nung dumating yung leaders ng US, gano'n. Naku po, kinalouse nila yung buong street. Tapos, may mga, may mga sniper, tapos politsay, tapos mga special forces. Grabe yun. Kasi sabi ko, nag-video ako, kung ano, akala nila, I'm revealing their, yung mga eket nila. Kaya mahirap na. Ayan, okay. Medyo dito tayo sa loob. Naku po, lamig. Ayan. Kaya kita nyo dito, yung eye bags ko talaga. Wala parang halos 24/7 yung natin dito. Set up natin dito. Siyempre, nag-update din ako nangyari sa ating sa Asia. Kamusta naman? I think may presidential debate soon. May mga nagtatanong pa sa akin ng anong comment ko dyan sa election sa atin sa Pilipinas, yung mga surveys, diba? But, paano ko masabi yan? Lumaki ako, bilang isang mas matandang millennial, thinking na ang magiging magulong parte ng mundo ay anywhere except possibly yung West, na parang idea natin na Middle East, Asia, North Korea, of course napunta na natin lahat yan, North Korea, napunta na natin yan. Siguro Africa, maybe Latin America, but of course in Latin America it's more like intrastate than interstate wars. Pero yung idea na Europe can become potentially a front for a major war involving at least one superpower or more, yun ay medyo hindi natin naisip masyado. And I think we all had this naivety thinking that with the collapse of the Soviet Union, tapos ng Russia, at Russia will just accept a secondary role and they're just gonna be on the sidelines. Ang hindi po natin na-appreciate is yung mindset ni President Vladimir Putin. And I'll discuss this a little bit more now dahil konteksto po ang kailangan natin bago pag-usapan natin yung decree na sinay ni President Putin yung kailan lang, a few hours ago, recognizing yung mga breakaway regions ng Ukraine, which effectively will mean Russia will be deploying forces there and will be, in a way, annexation of another part of Ukraine in clear violation of the Minsk Agreement. But first, try natin maintindihan itong mindset ni Putin and why this is creating the possibility of first major conflict dito sa Europe. Russia is the biggest country, but it's a Eurasian country, so it's not just a European country. But Ukraine is in the European continent, At Ukraine is, after Russia, the second largest one here. So, malaking bansang Ukraina. At kung mangyayaring labanan dyan, at kung lumaban ang Ukraine, which is not impossible, malaking gulo ang makikita natin dito. But let's first understand, why would Putin even risk this? Kasi, grabe, over the past few days, nakita namin di ba? Andan si Boris Johnson, nag-speech siya, magulo naman yung hair niya. Hindi ko lang sinasadya niya pa rin, ganun talaga. Si Kamala Harris, nandyan. Lahat ng mga top leaders around the world nandyan. Yan yung mga alarm clock natin. Nakita natin lahat ng mga leaders na binarn talagang Russia, no? That there will be comprehensive sanctions, the likes of which has never been seen. Kasi, potentially, ayan tayo, muna akong magulo. Wait lang, gising na ako. Trabaho na ako. Ayan. Sinisimisan nyo na yung place. Eto, so balikan natin Balikan natin, talagang vlogger mode tayo. Ang lamig kasi sa labas Sabi dito muna tayo. Alright. Actually, gusto ko na malamig. It's just that dahil mahina yung immunity natin, sobrang pagod tayo. Almost 24/7, sabi ko, medyo delikado. Mahirap na kasi on the move tayo constantly Okay, balikan natin ito. Si Putin, ang tawag sa kanya ng isang NYU, New York University story, na isang Homo Sovieticus, no? Meaning isang tao na obsessed dun sa project ng Soviet Union. At ipopost ko ngayon, no, yung isa sa mga articles na sinulat ko sa mga crisis ngayon, yung isa for Inquirer. Kasi doon yung makikita yung mga quotes, no? Para kay Putin, the collapse of the Soviet Union was the greatest tragedy of the 20th century. So para kay Putin talaga, no? Para kay Putin dapat hindi nangyari yun. At base sa mga reports na meron tayo, si Putin po ay nandun sa Germany nung nagkaroon ng negosasyon about essentially separation ng mga Eastern Central European countries from the Soviet Union. Kasi kung maalala niyo dati may mga western flank yung Soviet Union, no? Sandun yung Czechoslovakia, which now is Czech and Slovakia, and then meron kang East Germany, no? Meron kang Hungary, meron kang Poland. Ay, yung mga yan ay humiwalay na, no? Especially after Berlin Wall. Well, si Putin nandun. And Putin was not happy about that situation. And alam natin ano yung trabaho ni Putin, no? Medyo mala James Bond po yung kanyang trabaho dyan sa... Sige, balik tayo ulit. Okay, hindi ganun ka. Mala James Bond yung kanyang trabaho, no? So, para kay Putin, sorry, sa tagal ko nag-mask, I wanna have a little bit of fresh air here. So, para kay Putin talaga, mahalaga to reverse that humiliation. So, over the past 20 years, pag titignan mo yung Russia, ang Russia po ay had the resources to build up their military capabilities. So, kitang-kita natin, Russia now is sometimes even the largest oil exporter in the world, largest natural gas exporter. So, they're an energy superpower and that has raised a lot of money. At yun ang ginamit, mag-jacket na lang ako. At yun ang ginamit, kasi gusto ko Baguettes Fields Baguettes Fields. Parang vlogger na vlogger. Mamaya, mga skincare tips, mga ganun na. Sige, mamaya na lang. Next meta natin, ayusin natin yan. Anyways. So Russia, over the past 1 years, has steadily developed their military capabilities. So medyo ngayon nakabalik na sila doon sa isang level kung saan they can conventionally really threaten a lot of countries. Now, kita natin na si Putin is a risk taker, as calculating or chess maker as some people think he is. Chess player, sorry. Some people think he is. He's also a risk taker. At nakita natin yan exactly during the previous two major Olympics. One was during the Beijing Olympics in 2018 nung sinugot ni Putin yung Georgia as Georgia wanted to join yung NATO alliance, and also in 2014 when nag-annex siya ng Crimea. So now with the Olympics effectively over in China, just a day after, almost, no? Sunday yata natapos. Exactly a day after, we see Putin making this move, no? And for some, this move already constitutes an invasion because if Russia is gonna deploy peacekeeping forces to Donetsk and those breakaway places, then effectively you have Russian troops occupying Ukrainian territory, right? And in that sense, it really sets the tone for further diplomatic engagements sa pagitan ng mga Amerika at saka Russia at saka yung mga ibang major powers dito sa part na to. But my fear is that Putin has already rolled the dice, no? Because from here, it can really go crazy downhill. And by the way, let me give also the Ukrainian perspective because we have to be fair about that. Ayoko kasi yung nag-analysis tapos yung pinag-usapan ng mga big powers as if others don't exist. So let me get the side of Ukraine. And I'm kind of proud of this to a certain degree because one of the articles I had to write about the Munich conference, one of them was for a British magazine, very short. So sinigurado ko na kahit very short yung word limit na binigay sa akin, ilalagay ko yung quotes, no, or key quotes from Vladimir Zelensky, no, yung Ukrainian president. In fact, the Ukrainian president was warned not to leave Kiev to attend the Munich Security Conference, yung conference na pinuntahan namin, because there's a possibility anything could happen while he's away from Kiev, no, and Kiev as in Y, not I, pala, that's how you properly write it. So when he was there, see Zelensky, who speaks excellent Russian, he's of Jewish descent and a lawyer. So it just shows the kind of and comedian at the same time. It shows the kind of cosmopolitan, modern culture that they have there in Kiev. Si Vladimir Zelensky essentially said, tumulong kayo, hindi kayo tutulong, lalaban kami, no? Talagang gagawin namin kahit anong kailangan namin. But, very interestingly, panoorin niyo yung Netflix series na Munich, no? It's about Prime Minister Chamberlain's, appeasement of Hitler, no? So, Zelensky made the best use of his stay in Munich when he said he's against appeasement. Essentially, he was telling Germany, mahalaga tong Germany dahil Germany po ay pinakamalaking economic power dito sa Europe. Right? I think 4th largest in the world, just after Japan, China, and US. And ang laki ng trade at investments ng Germany at saka Russia. At of course, alam natin, yung isang malaking bagay dito is Nord Stream 2 project. Yung pipeline project through Baltic from Russia to Germany. And hopefully later this year, visitin natin yung mga Baltic areas na yan for some engagements to get also perspective of people from the Baltic area who used to be part of the Tsar Dam and Soviet Union but now are very much on the other side, no? So para sa Ukraine, especially, let's be honest, large parts of Ukraine in the east, no, there are significant Russian minorities and sometimes they're closer to majority, right, in some of the areas closer to the border with Russia. But if you go from Kiev and more to the western part of the country, this is literally the more western looking part of Ukraine. And this used to be, some parts of that used to be part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, or Hungarian Empire if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to go into the Russian-Ukrainian history, it's a very long one. But huge parts of Ukraine used to be also part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. So in short, they don't feel Russian. And it just happened during the Soviet Union and during Tsardom, well, na-conquer sila, they were incorporated. But this part of Ukraine, they really feel more their future belongs to Europe. So they tried to join Europe first via an association kind of a membership or partnership noong 2014. Doon nagkaroon ng massive protest dahil back then yung pro-Russian leader ng Ukraine didn't want to do that kasi takot siya na baka pagalitan niya ng boss niya doon sa kabila. So nagkaroon ng Maidan protest at there we got the revolution, change in government, and of course Russia responded in kind. Boom, not really in kind but really aggressively took away Crimea and all. So that sense in Kiev and large parts of center, kung lampas ka ng Dnipro River, this side of Ukraine, please check the map. Sige, post natin yan. Those large parts, they want to join EU. They want to join NATO. And nasa saligang batas po ng Ukraine na they want to join NATO. And in fact, in 2000s, during the Bush administration, the US pressured the rest of NATO to essentially make it clear that they want Georgia and Ukraine to be part of NATO. At yan ang unacceptable kay Putin because from the Putin perspective, Ukraine is a very special place because of its geography and history, especially because this is also where the Kievan Rus, culture and civilization started. But also, of course, I think what makes really Ukraine also special is the possibility that they're very similar in culture and all to to Russia, could become a successful Western-oriented country, And I think that is the bigger threat that someone like Putin may be concerned about than just them joining the NATO, right? And in fact, there's no indication that NATO will accept Ukraine anytime soon, because ang Ukraine po ay, it's really a dysfunctional system and a lot of oligarchs, corruption and all of that. But the people of Ukraine, especially in the Kiev area and the Western area, they really want a different future. They want to get out of the shadow of their former big brother and kind of embrace Europe. At dyan talaga naiipit ang lahat. So, ang gulo ng sitwasyon na to, sobrang gulo. At mukhang when it comes to Putin, since he came into power over the past 20 years, ang dami ng former Soviet members ay sumali na sa NATO. So, row after row nakita natin. Poland, Hungary, so on and so forth, all of these Eastern Bloc countries joining the NATO. So I think at some point Putin said enough is enough. This has to stop somewhere. And now I have the power, I have nuclear weapons, I have hypersonic capabilities. Gigirahin niyo ako. And this is it, Let me close on this because we'll discuss more in the coming days. Don't worry about it. Just nag-high lang talaga ako dito kasi there's nothing definitive. The situation is very fluid. Saan tayo? Yan, windang na tayo. Yeah, mukhang talagang Putin has rolled the dice. So from here, it can get worse. Unless there's one scenario being discussed by this Russian expert. And I kind of respect this guy because, folks from that think tank, Carnegie, I think, Moscow, have been saying good stuff, really reasonable and brave stuff for some time. One scenario, some are saying that baka this is it na. So this will be the maximum escalation that Putin will seek, but it will essentially stop there. And then what the West will do is that they will escalate the sanctions, but they'll come not short of yung maximum sanctions, which is take out Russia from the SWIFT system, so hindi na sila pwede mag-transfer ng bank, magkakaroon ng banking transactions internationally, get Russia sanctioned in terms of denying them access to mga industrial and technological products. Baka mamaya Microsoft, yung mga ganun software, hindi na sila pwede gumamit. So it will be something really severe. But I think they will come just short of that and try to freeze the situation at where it is. And for some observers, Russia is just essentially formalizing what it has been doing, which is militarily supporting yung mga rebels dyan sa mga Russian majority or Russian-leaning areas in the far east of Ukraine and the borders with Russia. So one scenario is that it can actually stop there. Sorry about that. But my fear is, once you get into an escalatory mode, and then tit for tat, it's very easy for this to get out of control from here. It's very really easy to get out of control from here. Ayan na, yung mga, may ano tayo dyan, may mga troll tayo dyan. MJ, kung totoong account yan, na hindi mo kung totoong account na fake account, balikan kita mamaya, bawal yung mga spam. Bawal mag-spam dito. Mag-insulto kayo dyan. Kamusta yung mga vloggers natin dyan? We'll discuss more kasi na-interview ko rin yung, I had public exchanges with the Foreign Minister of Germany, batang-bata pa, 40 lang yata siya or something. With Foreign Minister of India, Foreign Minister of Japan, etc. So we're going to discuss that more kasi may China aspect din dito because China is a big backer of Russia and ngayon nagkakaamot ng ulang China. The fact na hindi nangyari ito during Olympics means how influential China is, diba? That, kasi ayaw guluhin ni Putin yung Olympics ni Xi. So just nung natapos na ginawa ni Putin yan. So interestingly, really, it seems China has an influence. And I'm going to discuss that more because Wang Yi, he didn't attend in person, but he gave a live virtual address. And dun sa virtual address niya, he said the territorial integrity of all countries has to be respected, and Ukraine is no exception. So clearly, China is not very excited about the situation here, right? Especially if this gets ugly and bloody and really affects Russia's economy very badly. You can make an argument this is good for China. It will create distraction that, Russia will be more dependent on China. But I think China is smart enough to realize that this can also get out of control. And a weak Russia partner is not what they want. They want a strong Russian partner that plays their card well, right? And yan ang magiging problema natin ngayon. Alright, okay, may mga tanong mo kayo dyan. So let me just end on this point for today, no? We're gonna have more of these discussions. Ang talagang issue dito is the power of nostalgia. Nostalgia is a very powerful force. So, sa Pilipinas, alam natin, nostalgia is what's making certain person closer to the presidency. Hindi ko alam yung achievement niya on his own, pero yung nostalgia for his father's time is bringing people, a lot of people together. And here, it's the nostalgia for the Soviet glory that is really pushing Putin to do this. Nostalgia is a very powerful force. Hugot force yan. Sige, konting shoutout tayo dyan. Kamusta kayo dyan? Huwag natin ubusin ang balik muna ako. I have to kape muna tayo tsaka trabaho. Okay. Dami pa nangyari. Yes. Shoutout daw kay Lynn. Yan. Kamusta kayo dyan? Mike, no, this is beyond 2014 now. We're in a whole different situation because Russia has amassed close to 200,000 troops now on the borders of Ukraine. This is completely different from 2014. Crazy. This is crazy situation. So if they wanna, kaya nila sugurin talagang Kiev. From north, from Belarus, not from the east. Medyo malayo but from north, medyo malapit eh. Kaya, grabe. And yeah, I mean, ang issue kasi dito is, should Ukraine have its own right to determine its future, or for the sake of preventing more frictions, essentially force Ukraine to be a neutral state, a la Finland, or Sweden for that matter. We can discuss that more, kasi isa pang option yan eh. But so far, kasi ang position ng Ukraine is they want to determine what they want in the future and no one should tell them if they want to join something or not. Now, ibang usapan kung matanggap pa sila ng NATO, which is unlikely under current circumstances. Alright, okay, balik muna ako sa trabaho. Sorry, I just need to get some energy together. As you can see, I'm already on the edge, but I try to get some sleep. Yung isang araw nga, I had to wake up 4 a.m., get 3 articles done, then get on the move again, no? So, grabe. So, try to catch up again. Thank you so much dun sa mga nakikinig sa atin, and we're gonna keep more posted. And don't worry, pag-usapan din natin yung ating sitwasyon dyan sa Pilipinas, because nostalgia also